What's up, guys? It's your boy JDTheCollector. I'm here at Average Joe's with Daniel, aka The.Great.Curator. Today we're gonna do a little shopping, see what he's feeling, see what he's not. You ready?
Yes, let's do it.
Daniel, just talk about how the name The.Great.Curator came about.
Okay, so it's kind of an Easter egg, right?
Okay.
I'm a big sci-fi nerd, so one of the shows that I loved watching several years ago was Doctor Who. And in Doctor Who, they had this one episode where he was like, it was after a big battle or something, and he was thinking about retiring, and he was inside a museum, and he's like, you know what, I should retire. Let me just give you a bit of backstory about Doctor Who. He's basically like a time traveling detective, basically, right? And in the episode, he's in the museum, he's looking around, he's like, you know what, I think I could retire and I could be a curator of this museum. I would be known as the Great Curator. And that always stuck in my head. And when it came time to kind of come up with an Instagram handle that I thought would be kind of cool, I thought that would be a fun Easter egg.
Wow.
Because I'm always buying unique, weird, eclectic things. And I've always thought of myself as a curator. And since I love Doctor Who, it just kind of worked perfectly.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it's an
now.
Easter egg. Not a lot of people will understand that or recognize it, but for sci-fi fans, Doctor Who fans, they always get it.
So speaking of you collecting, what are the cards you're looking at in the beginning?
Beginning when I got back into collecting?
Oh, I guess, yeah, back when I guess when you first started collecting to where you're at now.
Well, I started collecting when I was a little kid, back in the early 90s. And actually, one of the things that I collected first, which is no surprise to anybody who follows me, was Marvel cards.
Of course,
1990, Marvel Impel to 1994, those were my Marvel years. I was collecting all the stuff, right? And then as I got older, I got into sports because my older brother was collecting baseball cards, football cards, basketball cards at that time. So that got me to transition to sports. So from 94 to 98, I was all about sports at that time. And then I got out of the hobby for several years. And when I got back in 2000, end of 2020, I went straight into sports because that was the last thing I knew. And I kind of got up to speed on how the hobby changed and things like that. And at that time, I had a different type of strategy, which we can talk about later. But over the course of the last year and a half or so, I've kind of gone back to my roots where I'm collecting the weird, eclectic, unique stuff and heavily into Marvel right now.
Yeah, speaking of Marvel, your PMGs, right?
Yep.
Like you said, everybody's doing sports cards and all these things, but you're going out of, you're stepping out and being different. So let's talk about, I know everybody loves Marvel, but what was the main reason why you went after that set?
The Marvel? The PMG set?
The PMGs, yeah.
Okay.
Your famous PMG
all right,
set.
So it's a long story, but I'm going to try to tie it together for you guys, okay? So basically, when I got back into sports cards, I followed the money, just like everybody else.
Of course.
At that time, it was super easy to make money, guys. You buy a card, a week later it goes up, you flip it, whatever, right? So I was doing that stuff, and I was having fun buying what everybody else was buying, okay? Very common stuff, base cards, silvers, color parallels, things like that. And then when the market started to go down, it was a different story. That's where things got very difficult for a lot of people. And those cards, you couldn't really make money off of it. A lot of people were trying to get out of it. And I was just, looking at how people would value cards, which is something that, I'm hoping that we can talk about today, is when people were looking at ways to value cards by looking at what they would sell for on eBay, all right, and trying to get lower than that and things like that. I just thought to myself that was kind of a flawed way of investing, flawed way of thinking and valuing your cards. So I started to naturally look towards unique cards, things that not everybody could get. So I started looking for rarer, low number, low pop cards. And as the market kept going down, it got more difficult to maneuver within the space. So I started to look at different areas that weren't as impacted as basketball, football, baseball, and that led me to some of the alternative cards, like wrestling, got me into that, Marvel, things like that. And that just kind of led me down that path. And I would always listen to people's content, like podcasters and things like that. And I remember this one podcast, it's called Wrestling Cards by Zan Morning. He was talking about the rarest wrestling card, Hulk Hogan card you could find, which was a Hulk Hogan PMG card. And I was like, what is a PMG, right? And then I started researching it, precious metal gems. I found it. I actually found it on eBay. It popped up and I grabbed it right away. And when I held that PMG in my hand, it kind of changed my whole collecting path, right? It's like I was mesmerized by the beauty of this card, and then I went down that rabbit hole. I started buying as many PMGs as I could of alternative sports, and then that naturally led me into Marvel, which because another guy, his name's Spidey Jew. on YouTube. He led me down the Marvel path and kind of reignited that fire in me. And then I realized that Marvel had PMGs too, and it just made sense to me that crossover, like in my head it clicked, like crossover sports or crossover brands like PMG from sports going into different categories was the play to make.
Yeah.
And then ever since then, I never looked back, and I've had pretty good success over the last 6 months or so playing in that space.
Yeah, like I see it every day. You're posting a new different card. I'm like, man, this guy's just posting wrestling cards, Marvel cards, and everything. So you just find, I like how you're able to buy what you like. Shout out to Mark for that. But you're able to buy what you like and then still sell it at the shows, and people still find interest in that.
Let me talk about that real quick.
Okay,
Shout out to Ultimate Pastime Mark. He also helped me out a lot because in the beginning, just like everybody else, I was like, oh, profit, right? We're chasing profit. And then I would just listen to him every day saying, buy what you like. And in the beginning, when I'm chasing profit, it's stressful. You know what I mean? When a card goes down in price, you're like, dang it, that sucks. But when I started buying cards that I liked and I was having fun, all the stress went away, all the pressure went away, and it was just easy again. And then I just started buying, collecting the things that I like, being in different markets that weren't necessarily as competitive and going down as much, and it worked out really well for me.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like you said, when the market went down, everybody was like, what's the word I'm looking for? Just struggling, trying to break even, right? So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go a different way. I'm just gonna go collect what I actually enjoy, my PC. Everybody knows I love Kyrie. I like buying numbered cards now. That way I'm able to set the price, and it's not as, when you go to shows, not a lot of people are gonna have it because it's low numbered. So I really like that idea of you just preaching that to everybody, that you need to buy what you like, because that's the most important thing, and they need to keep the hobby fun. I think just collecting what you really enjoy just makes it a lot easier.
We got to remember, we got to stick to our roots.
Yes.
It's a hobby first. It's a hobby that became profitable, right? Over the course of time. So we got to stay with our roots, where we buy things that we like, we have fun with it. And if we like it, chances are somebody else will like it too. And we just have to connect with that person. And that's how we can move cards. I never buy any type of card where I have no attachment.
Yeah,
emotional
I agree.
If it doesn't excite me, if I don't collect it, I'm not chasing money anymore. I'm chasing like just the excitement of getting that card, and I'll enjoy it for a little bit, and then I'll move it on to somebody else to enjoy it.
Yeah, I completely agree. I feel like that's the biggest thing, is just having fun and just enjoying it. We just had another guest here where he was talking about collecting sets, and I feel like when you're collecting, it needs to be like a journey, like the end goal. Like, okay, I collected the whole set, now what's next? It just feels a lot better when you have a goal and you achieve it. Speaking of, when you first started, before you started your YouTube channel, you used to do posts on your Instagram stories every day, like this is a way of starting a discussion or conversation. Then you led into YouTube. So let's talk about how you went from the posts, from your daily topics, to going to finally to YouTube, and how, I guess, what's the biggest challenge, if there was any, for you at the time?
Sure. So when I got back into cards, I was all about just like trying to make profit, basically, right? And I was doing that. And when the market started to go down, I noticed a lot of people would panic. They were panicking. They were saying, oh, the card market's done, sell off your stuff, get out. People were like fighting with each other. And in my mind, I wasn't feeling necessarily any of that panic, because before I got back into cards, I was I studied a lot of investment strategy.
Yes.
And I've been in different markets, in stocks, real estate, things like that. So I was used to going through corrections, going through crashes, going through ups and downs, right? So I started to think to myself, okay, let me try to share some of my knowledge with people out there. Maybe they haven't seen something like this before. Maybe they don't know what to do. And I started to just like write little posts to share my knowledge with people, and just say, hey, this is the discussion. Okay, I'm not telling you guys what to do. Let's have a discussion about why you shouldn't panic sell, why you should maybe think about lowering your cost basis, how markets go up and down all the time, right? I started making those posts, and the feedback was really great, and I wasn't expecting that. They were like, oh, this is great, can you write more, can you tell more? And I started doing it almost on a daily basis, and it got to the point where I would just give like a couple little sentences, but then those little sentences turned into paragraphs.
Yes.
And then people started saying, can you, instead of writing so much, because we can't like read it on the Instagram post, can you make a video about it or something? And I was hesitant to do that, but somebody Mama Breaks, right?
Yes.
She actually encouraged me to make videos. She said, hey, I think you'd be really good at this. Can you do it? And I was hesitant at first because I was kind of private. I didn't want to put myself out there because I knew people were like, make fun of me or whatever. But I just said, okay, you know what? If there's the demand there and if I can help people, I will do it.
Yes.
So
yes.
after the national last year, after I hit like 1,000 subscribers, I decided to make my first video, and the feedback was crazy.
Yep.
Well, not crazy, but the feedback was very positive, and I just started getting a bunch of subscribers all of a sudden, and I went from like 10 to like 3,000 basically in a matter of weeks.
I remember.
And I was like, whoa, what's going on here? And ever since then, I decided, hey, I need to take this seriously. I need to really try to put effort in and help people as much as I can and take my content as serious as possible. And I haven't really looked back, and it's been about like 6 months now.
Yeah, and I completely appreciate what you're doing because, like I tell everybody, the conversation needs to kind of change. And I'm happy that you're able to spread your message and the conversation is just changing little by little, and that's what I'm trying to do as well, is just try to shift it a little bit so that way people can realize there's more to it than cards and the money. It's us, the person behind it and the reason why we're doing it. So I really enjoy what you're saying, what you're posting every day and weekly, and just having the conversation just change, because that's what we really need. So let's talk about you moving different places, because when we first met, we met at the LA Proper Show.
Yes.
And we sat up next to each other, and I was just picking your brain. And then, from there you moved to YouTube and everything. Now you're going out of state, out of the city show. So let's talk about this branching out and networking with different people in different cities and different states.
Sure. So when I got into the card game and I started shifting more towards content, I kind of thought to myself, okay, I need to, for me to grow, I need to be able to level up.
Yes.
Right? So all of last year, when I got back into the hobby full time, I made the commitment to go to shows every single week. And that's how I cut my teeth. That's how I earned my stripes. I must have went to like 50, 60 shows last year.
Yeah.
Every single weekend. Local shows. And I built up a reputation. I gained knowledge, experience, and I did that. So this year, in order for me to level up, I kind of made the commitment saying, okay, I need to get away from the local shows and I need to go to out-of-state shows, the bigger shows.
Yes.
And that's what I've kind of been doing this year. I've been going to like Dallas. Next week I'm going to Atlanta. I went, to Houston. Just any out-of-state show I can go to, like a major destination show, I'll do that. And I feel like that's something that you need to do in the hobbies. Like you always need to try to push yourself and try to level up to that next stage. Not necessarily what I'm doing, but like,
little by little.
Yeah, in any type of field, like just same thing like what you're doing, right? But that gives us exposure, that gives us experience, that lets us meet new people and network and all the benefits that come with that. It is time consuming.
Of course.
It's very tiring, it is costly, right? But I have kind of like a long-term plan where I think that's where I need to go to reach that next level.
No, I completely agree. I know that I've been to 3 shows out of state already, and I feel like it's the best thing able for me to grow, because I'm able to network with people, collab. I did one with Jets Mamba, shout out to him. In Philly, just meeting different people, different crowds, and this growing your network in a different way. Because there's so much you could do on Instagram and social media, but I feel it's more better when it's face to face, meeting with different people and just putting a face to the brand, basically.
That's what the hobby's about.
Yes.
You can sit at home and you can buy things on eBay all day long, but you're not going to be able to get the full value out of this experience, out of this hobby, unless you get out there, and meet people, and get out there and go to shows and experience all the different things that the hobby has to offer.
Yeah, I completely agree. So moving towards the end, I just want to talk about what's the biggest advice you could give to somebody if they were starting into the hobby now, or just going into content in general.
Okay, well, I see those as 2 questions. So if you're just getting into the hobby right now, education is the most important thing. You need to consume everything that's on YouTube so that you can see what is out there. And there's different opinions. My opinion is not the best. His opinion is not the best. Just get a consensus opinion of all the different things and see what resonates with you. Then after you have a knowledge base built up, go out to the shows and put that knowledge to use, experience things, do deals with people, see what kind of cards are out there, and learn to enjoy the process, because that is the most important thing. If you don't enjoy the process, then maybe you're not going to get the most out of the hobby. So that's what I would say for people coming in. Okay, education, then experience.
Of course.
For content creators, same thing, but then I would also add that you have to find a way to bring value to the people that you're making content for, and you have to be very consistent and committed to the process. You can't post once a week, once a month. You've got to basically post every single day, so that you become established for your followers, and they can come to rely on the content that you put out there. And that's the best way to kind of gain a following. That's the best way to improve on the quality of your content and grow your community.
Oh wow, I hope everybody really appreciate what you're saying, because these are valuable tips that anybody starting the hobby can actually look forward to and use. So I guess we talked about mostly everything. Now we're just going to shop around, see what you're feeling, see what you're not, and just give us an insight what you're looking into.
Sure.
Okay, so we're at the vintage section. I guess not really vintage, but the baseball single section. So were you actually into baseball at any point?
I don't collect modern baseball so much now, but I am looking at vintage baseball a lot. I'm just kind of like a historian of the sport, so I can really appreciate some of these legends, like, you know, Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, you know, probably a Mantle in here somewhere, Sandy Koufax, guys like that. I'm seeing vintage. Basically, vintage is, to me, from my experience, is very liquid. It's very, very in demand, and the price doesn't fluctuate as much as the modern stuff. Vintage, to me, is the most safest play, and what I really like about it is that even the low grades, you can buy it, you can get in at a good cost basis, like $100, and you can make money off of that.
Is it because it's rare? I mean, it's older, so it's a lot harder to grade, right? Is that the main reason why?
Yeah, and because like a card like this is the first Topps year set, I think 1951, I think. So it's like 70 years old, right? They're not expected to be perfect condition. You know, these cards were collected. They were passed around. They were what they were meant to be. So this is like the hobby in this purest form. They don't value a card by that. They value the actual card itself by how it looks, eye appeal, and all that stuff. So to me, vintage is like the purest play, and something that I'm very, very interested in getting more into. So
talking about safest plays, I just want to talk about not wax, but just breaking in general. Just give us a reason why it's a good thing, if there is a good thing, and why it's a bad thing, if you don't mind.
So breaking, you got to look at breaking for what it is. Okay, it's entertainment. It's entertainment. You buy into a break because maybe you can't afford a $100 box, right? But you can afford a $10 pack. So you can buy into the break, still participate and have fun and get the entertainment value. But as far as the return on investment, it's not there.
Somebody in Philly asked me, "You think I should pull?" I'm just randomly the Pokemon Celebration. If I buy that, do you think I'll be able to pull whatever the rarest card is? I was like, no, just buy it single. You're probably gonna spend like the same amount of money, and you might not even get it. So just be smart about with your money, and just get the single. It's worth it. Yeah. So let's move on to I guess the modern side of baseball. The Mike Trouts. I can't really think of Derek Jeters. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I can appreciate it, but I'm just not in the modern baseball space right now, except for very select people like Mike Trout, because he's the hometown guy. Guys like Ichiro, I like things like that. But to me, I'm just I tried to get into it, but what I learned when I got back into collecting like full time is that for me it works best to have focused areas. There's just too much stuff to collect out there. There's too much things to keep up with. So that's why for sports, I mainly stick to basketball. And then I kind of cut out baseball, I cut out football, just because of the time commitment it takes to keep up with it.
All right, so now we're here at, I guess, your side of things. Garbage Pail Kids, golf, all the things that a lot of people are not into, UFC, soccer. But the stuff that you see value in, I always feel that everything has a market.
Right.
But you're touching it where nobody's seeing the potential in it yet. So let's talk about, I guess you see a little bit Marvel here, the Garbage Pail Kids, golf, Tiger Woods. Let's talk about that and see like why there's a big potential to it in your eyes.
Okay, so these are my roots. Like I told you, these are the first things I collected as a kid, Marvel cards. So it's very natural for me to get back into this space because I think it's cool.
Of course.
For me, collecting is all about finding things that elicit some type of emotional response, whether you think it's cool or you had it as a kid and it's nostalgic or something like that. So for me, this hits on all levels. And what I love about Marvel is that it is still a very immature market where not a lot of people are collecting it, but now that word is getting out, now it's starting to heat up. So it's one of the few markets right now where you can actually buy a card and then in a couple weeks it does go up. Yeah. Unlike all these other categories that are maybe saturated. So Marvel is a different play. I really like Marvel and even Star Wars and some of those.
Of course,
other,
Star Wars is the best move for me.
Some of those other like IPs, because they have a huge fan base.
Of course.
That has not even transitioned to collecting cards yet.
Not yet.
And this is something I talk to with my friends all the time about, like, what is it going to take for people to transition to these to cards as a collectible? When people look at the card, they don't see a Marvel card. They see a card. They see the form of the collectible itself. They don't see the subject matter. Okay, and I think that is what is keeping people from jumping into the hobby, where they see cards as maybe just pieces of cardboard that aren't worth anything, or maybe they're for kids. They don't see it as, oh, this is a really cool Spider-Man card. This is a really cool, Star Wars card.
Yeah.
But we don't view that in other forms of collectibles. Like when we buy t-shirts, we don't see, oh, this is just a t-shirt. We see, oh, this is a really cool Marvel t-shirt. I need to buy it. Oh,
there's more to it, that's why.
Yeah, there's more to it to that. So when the companies can figure a way to market it, where people will see these as the subject matter, like what it is, Marvel cards, instead of a trading card, that's when the market will really pick up. And I think that one thing that I've been doing is I've been just basically telling people these cards exist. I've been talking about this on my channels and things like that, just showing people my pickups. And everybody I talk to, when I show them this or when I talked about this, the first thing they say to me is, that's cool. I never knew that existed.
Yep.
I need to get that now. Once they see it, then they want it. So it's an educational process, and that's why I'm having a lot of fun in the Marvel market right now.
Yeah, it's untapped, especially with all the movies coming out. The Star Wars in general, I feel that not everybody's talking about it, but the season Boba Fett just ended. I feel like they're still opening up for Obi-Wan Kenobi and just moving forward to Mandalorian.
There are incredible Star Wars cards out there. People just don't know about it.
Yeah.
But once they find out, they will start buying that stuff.
Yeah, it's just the market, what you're into. Not a lot. That's the thing we talked about in the beginning. The narrative. Everybody's but everybody's just funneling to basketball because, of course, that's the biggest thing. Kobe, MJ, LeBron, all those things. But there's more to it, and that's why, you bringing it up, other people bringing up, like, there's more to collecting than just sports, and that's why I appreciate you giving light to, the Spider-Mans, the Hulk Hogan's, Star Wars.
All this stuff is cool. Like, we need to look at cards as the subject matter.
Yes.
Not the collectible card itself. Like, everybody will universally agree, basketball, baseball cards, football cards have value. But when you say, okay, what about Marvel cards, Star Wars cards, wrestling cards? Oh, those don't have value, because they're putting the form of the collectible first and not the subject matter. So most of this is going to be Marvel PMGs, right? So you can kind of see the things that I'm picking up here. Oh, there we go. See, professional here. Professional. Thank you, sir. Okay, I'm super committed to PMGs right now, where I'm just buying them up, and I love the look of them, especially the red ones. So that's what I'm buying right now. But most of the cards right now, what I focus on is rare cards, low pop, numbered cards, things that you just can't find. I do this because when I set up at shows, I don't want to compete with everybody else. I want to be like that niche guy that has cards that nobody else has. And then that way, I don't have to compete with anybody. I can kind of name my own price. A lot of these cards don't have eBay comps. Or if they do, it's going to be from when I bought it. They don't transact as much, so the cards aren't going to have the price won't be as volatile.
So real quick, talk about that. You have some cards that are not listed on eBay, and the only time, how do you come up with I don't know if you really want to say, but how do you come up with a price to where the buyer and you are okay with? Since it's so hard to comp these, you're not going to really find them on eBay or anywhere.
Yeah. So the fallback is always to price a card based on your cost basis. So like, let's just say I bought this for $1,000. I'm not selling it for any less than what I need to get out of it. So let's just say I need 2x. That's my goal. It can be 20%, 30%, 50%, or 2x, 3x, whatever. So I'll come up with that as a basis, okay? Unless I think that it's very valuable, then I'll put a premium price on it. Like, for example, this Kobe quad patch right here with the logo man, game used logo man. Nobody else has this. I got the only one. So yes, pop one. Okay, I can name my price on this, and if somebody wants it and they value it the same way as me, then they got to pay up to get it. If not, I can hold it for a while until I get tired of it, and then I can let somebody else enjoy it, and then maybe I can adjust my price.
Talk about, if you don't mind, what are these? Not a lot of people know what these are yet.
Sure.
The case.
They're made by a company. They're kind of like, the partners are all spread around, but I've kind of developed a friendship with these guys where I'm helping them promote these. But these are really cool. These are like cases. for your slabs, right? And they kind of open up like this. They're made of aluminum. They're scratch resistant, UV protection, which is very important for your cards, especially autographs. Shatter resistant, all that stuff. They come in this cool display here, but these are really good because they just add a level of quality to your high-end cards. At the price point, you know, you want to put, like, if you have a card that's worth like $5,000, you want to protect it. If the case gets scratched, if the slab gets scratched or cracked, it will affect the value for sure. So you want to just be able to protect it the way it's supposed to be, and plus display it. It highlights it in a way that when you put it in your case, for me, when I'm a dealer, I set up all the time. It kind of shows off the card in a better light.
All right, there you have it, guys. The Great Curator came through, told some awesome stories. Make sure you follow him at.
You can find me on Instagram at The Great Curator, on YouTube, The Great Curator. I'm also on TikTok and whatnot, also all Great Curator.
All right, there you have it. Thank you to Average Rose for letting us film, and we'll see you guys later.